I'm testing my feelings with someone else first, she said, like she was explaining a harmless experiment, not dismantling our relationship in real time. I didn't respond. I just stared at her across the small kitchen table, the same one we'd picked out together last summer. My coffee had gone cold, but I didn't notice until much later. In that moment, everything felt suspended, like time paused just long enough for the meaning to sink in. She wasn't asking. She wasn't apologizing.
She was informing me.
And somehow, my silence said more than anything I could have said back. We'd been together for 3 years. Not perfect, but stable, the kind of relationship people assumed would end in marriage. We had routines, grocery shopping on Sundays, late-night Netflix debates, splitting rent down the middle. She used to text me during her lunch breaks, small things like, "Miss you?" or "Guess what happened today?" That version of her felt distant now. Lately, her messages had turned shorter, colder. I told myself it was stress. Work had been intense for her, and I didn't want to be the insecure boyfriend who read too much into normal changes. Her name is Laura, and she always prided herself on being honest to a fault. It was something I admired early on. "I don't believe in hiding things," she used to say. Back then, it felt refreshing. Now, sitting across from her while she calmly explained she wanted to explore her emotions, it felt like honesty had turned into a weapon. I asked quietly, "So, what does that mean for us?" She shrugged slightly. "It doesn't have to mean anything yet. I just need clarity." Clarity, apparently, required another person. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just nodded, like I was processing a business proposal instead of heartbreak. Inside, though, everything was unraveling. I kept replaying the past few weeks, her staying late at work more often, her phone always flipped face down, the way she smiled at messages she didn't share. It all clicked into place with a sickening kind of logic. "Who is he?" I finally asked. She hesitated, then said, "It's not about him. It's about me." That answer told me everything I needed to know, without actually answering anything. The next few days felt surreal. She acted almost normal, making coffee, asking about my day, even laughing at a joke I made out of habit. But there was a distance, like she'd already stepped halfway out of our life. One evening, her phone buzzed while she was in the shower. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. I already knew what I'd see. Still, I caught a glimpse of the screen lighting up repeatedly. Same name. Same persistence. It wasn't just testing. It was already something real, something ongoing. That night, I asked, "Are you seeing him already?" She dried her hair, avoiding eye contact. "I've met him a couple of times," she admitted. "It's nothing serious yet." The word, yet, hit harder than anything else. I leaned against the doorframe and said, "So you started before telling me." She sighed, like I was making things complicated. "I didn't plan it like this. It just happened." That phrase, "just happened," felt like the weakest excuse for a series of very deliberate choices. I started noticing everything. The way she dressed more carefully before leaving. The slight change in her perfume. The extra time she spent picking out outfits. Once, she asked me, "Does this look okay?" And I almost laughed at the irony. She still wanted my validation while preparing to see someone else. "Yeah," I said flatly. "You look great." And she did. That was the worst part. She looked exactly like the woman I fell in love with, just no longer mine in the way I thought she was. One evening, she said, "I'm going out tonight." No details, no explanation. I nodded again, sticking to my now familiar silence. After she left, I sat alone in the apartment, staring at the TV without actually watching anything. My phone buzzed with a notification from our shared expense app. She'd spent money at a restaurant we used to go to together. Same place, different person. That detail hit deeper than I expected. It wasn't just that she was seeing someone else. She was replacing me in the exact spaces we built together. When she came home, it was past midnight. She looked lighter, almost relieved. "We need to talk," I said before she could slip into the bedroom. She paused, then nodded. We sat down again, at that same kitchen table. "Are you choosing him?" I asked directly. She hesitated, then said, "I don't know yet." That uncertainty felt like the cruelest answer of all. So I'm just what? A backup? I pressed. She shook her head quickly. No, it's not like that. But it felt exactly like that. I finally broke my silence. You don't get to keep me while you figure out if someone else is better, I said, my voice steady but firm. She looked surprised, like she hadn't expected resistance. I thought you'd understand, she replied. That sentence almost made me laugh. Understand what? That you're auditioning other people while I wait. The words came out sharper than I intended, but they were honest. For the first time, she looked uncomfortable. The dynamic had shifted, and she wasn't in control of it anymore. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. She sighed and said, "He asked me to be exclusive tonight." The words hung in the air. And I asked. She looked at me, genuinely conflicted. I didn't give him an answer. That was supposed to mean something, I think. Like I should feel chosen, or at least still in the running. But all I felt was clarity. She wasn't deciding between two people. She had already stepped out. She just hadn't fully let go of the safety net yet. I stood up, the decision settling in quietly but firmly. You should say yes to him, I said. She blinked, caught off guard. What? I grabbed my keys from the counter. You're already halfway there. Finish it. She frowned. That's not what I want. I shook my head. It is. You just don't want to be the bad person in the story. The truth landed heavier than any argument could have. She didn't reply. For once, she didn't have an explanation ready. I packed a bag that night. Not everything, just enough to leave. As I zipped it up, she stood in the doorway, watching. You're really leaving? She asked softly. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized something had changed. You left first, I replied. That was the truth. She crossed a line the moment she decided to test her feelings somewhere else. This was just the consequence catching up. I walked past her without another word, the silence now belonging to me. The next few weeks were messy, but necessary. I stayed with a friend, focused on work, and slowly rebuilt my routine. She texted a few times. Can we talk? I miss you. But I didn't respond. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. Eventually, I heard through mutual friends that she'd started officially dating him. That answered the last lingering question. She didn't need time to figure things out. She just needed the courage to let go of one thing before fully committing to another. Looking back, I don't regret staying silent in that moment at the kitchen table. It gave me time to see things clearly, without reacting emotionally. But I also learned that silence has its limits. When someone tells you they need to explore other options, they're already choosing a different path. The real decision is whether you stay and wait or walk away with your self-respect intact. I chose to walk. And sometimes, the strongest thing you can say isn't a word at all. It's leaving when you're no longer valued.